right, good morning, everyone. I got Craig Kamman here from the school community, one rental at a time, and this is our first time meeting each other. We haven't really talked in Zoom or interview, so this is going to be a
No.
fun one. I'm loving what he's doing, but good morning, Craig.
Good morning. First time live. Yeah, we banter a little bit on school, but that's about it. So
Yeah, so
good to finally meet you.
no, yeah, this is a long time coming. I mean, we set this up, and I'm glad we're going to do this, but I only know of your bio pretty much from the school community. So why don't you
Okay.
introduce yourself to my audience and let them know kind of your background?
Okay. So I've been at this a while in real estate. I got licensed back in 93. I bought my first house back in 93. So I bought the house, and then I got licensed after the fact. I started out of high school, I started a construction cleanup business. I had a couple employees, bought my first house, was doing pretty well, and then kind of wound up in construction through that business, and then ended up being a job soup. I got my builder's license. So I was handed the lot blueprint and permit, and I'd contract out the whole house and deliver it at closing. So I was a pretty young age. I was like 22, 23 at the time, and building these homes. And then from there, I got licensed and started selling the homes for the builders, and have been a realtor ever since. So, and then I built homes on my own and then got in development through the years too. So, been through a lot of market cycles, ups and downs.
Wow. So, just from hearing your story a little bit, I mean, you don't really seem like maybe I guess, the normal one rental at a time guests I usually have on. So, how did you come across? I mean, you seem like you've done a lot of things, right? A lot of times I interview these people, they're just getting started, they're trying to get their first property. Maybe they have one or two doors, but you sound like you said you've been through multiple cycles, seems like. So, how
Yeah.
did you come across this kind of community and Michael Zuber?
So I'm on X Twitter a lot, and so I started following Zuber on there because he talks about his financial, the market updates, the macro stuff. And after getting burned on that last crash, I'm in tune with that stuff now. So I started following him based on that, and then kind of learned, about the other people, Matt. So I'm in Matt's group as well, and just kind of found a good community there, positive people, trying to improve their lives, and that's kind of the group that I want to be around. It's it's anyone who's trying to improve themselves versus going down a negative path, and we see a lot of that online. So that's what drew me to the community.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, we kind of talked a little bit off camera, so it sounds like, you self-manage about 25 units. You're in Minnesota,
Mm-hmm.
but I think, I rather focus on more kind of like what you're doing, like you said, your YouTube channel, but also it's more like mindset, right? So that's what we kind of talked about off camera is where,
Yeah.
real estate is more, the mindset part of it, the game of that. So why don't you kind of talk about that and maybe has your mindset shifted along this process?
Ooh, wow. We got a long conversation there. That's a you can go a lot of different directions with that. I forget what golfer said this, but the toughest, what is it? The toughest course you play is between the ears. That's that mindset. And it's real easy to get into that negative rut. The fear will control what you think, and it'll sabotage you. So you got to be really careful what you put in, because it'll what you think about it will expand, right? So you got to kind of force that good content into your mind. And you had kind of brought up a video that I had done earlier, kind of comparing to the Wizard of Oz journey, and that's kind of that Peterson. What's his name? The
Jordan
professor out of
Peterson.
Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Thank you. He always uses these old stories, right? These kids' stories that we always knew, and just to teach that lesson. And I was kind of comparing that journey to that Wizard of Oz. And you kind of start out in that journey, you're following that blaze trail, right? Everyone goes down that blaze trail, then the trail splits, and you have to develop your mind, which is a scarecrow, and then the Tin Man, your heart, your passion, your desire. And then your courage is, the lion, right? And you're going to this objective, to that city. And, fear is that witch, right? That fear chases you the whole way. And as a kid, I just remember watching that movie, always scared, right? That witch was scary. And by today's standards, it's not scary, but this kind of symbolic of that fear. And then when you finally get to your objective, right? She finds out the Oz that that's not the goal. Now she has to go and kill that witch, right? And then the flying monkeys come after her, and that's that negative thoughts. That's what I'm talking about. Those negative thoughts will come in, and that fear will hit you. The witch sends out the flying monkeys and just shreds the brain, right? The scarecrow gets shredded. The lion go or the courage goes running off into the woods. The Tin Man sitting there, pull yourself together, man. That's your desire. That's your heart. So I just thought that was kind of, symbolic of that life's journey and how fear controls everything you do. And that mindset is so important. And that's kind of that community. You want to get around good people that are, you know, facing that fear and continuing on with their journey, whatever the obstacles they have to face. Everyone's got different obstacles. So,
Yeah, I guess, staying on that fear and mindset. So what would have been your, I guess, greatest fear when you first got into real estate?
um, I blazed my own trail. I didn't go to the college route, and everyone around me is like, you can't do that. You can't do that. You'll amount to nothing. And so then a lot of that self-doubt starts to hit, right? And then it's like, oh, am I worthy of it? And then I kind of was predisposed to alcohol, so I ended up battling alcoholism, and so I had to, contend with that in my 20s. I've been sober now for over 25 years. So, I did go through those challenges, and, that's addressing a lot of those fears and, facing up to your demons, it's that journey of life. So there's no perfect route. There's no doing this without making mistakes. You just kind of do the next best thing, and, don't be afraid of making mistakes.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's the biggest thing a lot of us that are investing in real estate or investing in general is that there's always some sort of fear or some sort of obstacle in the way. And it's really just how you approach it or attack it is really what separates a lot of people. So, what would you say maybe for what do you notice as a fear that a lot of new investors have to overcome, or what is that greatest fear that you might hear from people?
It's the what ifs, right? What if the market changes? What if all of a sudden there's no demand for the rental? What if I can't rent it for that? And and I had that fear too, right? Even though I had all the experience and knew the market, um, had a career in it, and I had to rebuild. And that first one I bought again, I'm like, oh, that fear came back. And it's like, so how I overcame it is I approached it and I knew that market, and I bought the townhome. It was a townhome, not a single family or a duplex or anything. And I knew the demand was there. I had just gone through a divorce, so I knew that market. There's a lot of divorced people in that school district. 50% of the marriages are going to go through the divorce. So I knew there was a built-in demand for it. And I knew if they couldn't rent it, I could always sell it. So I had options, and I knew I bought it at a good price because I knew the market. So I just eliminated that risk and fear that way. And then once I had that one under the belt, and then I was just, okay, this is nothing. And then I was just pedal to the metal. But it's getting that first one or two under your belt and just getting over that initial fear. And if you have to start small to get over the fear, do it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's the one thing that, I think like turnkey properties are somewhat helpful in that sense because it really kind of takes away some of the fear there, but it helps you get your foot in the door and
Yeah.
just a solid base hit. But there's so, like you're saying, there's so much other things to learn after acquiring the property. But that kind of just helps the process along to kind of get over some of those obstacles. I know you mentioned that you're on X quite a bit and you like the economic side and the
Mhm.
data. So I mean, as far as I'm on X also too, but What do you see as far as, do you think X, because I love X. I think X is a great place. I have a lot of fun there. So what
Yeah.
is your approach to X? Are you just there for the information? Or are you there also trying to put out content?
I haven't really utilized it for content. So years ago when blogging came out, I went on, and this was right when the housing market crashed, 2000, probably 2008, 2009. A friend and I just started blogging, and I quickly ran up this blog and, talked about this macro stuff. I didn't know what I was doing, right? Just self-taught, and it started becoming Technorati was a web ranker at the time. I don't think it exists anymore, but it was ranked pretty high in the nation for real estate content, um, and so I've always just been in tune to that. So I was dumping that content out on Twitter, and then I drifted away from it. It became a cesspool for a while, but now it's good with content again. And so now I'm not really pumping any content out there. Um, I'm in there bantering.
Yeah. I
So
think that's what we're all there for.
yeah. And then I started putting out a little bit of content on YouTube, but I have no real goal for it. I'm just kind of sharing what I'm going through, and I post a video of a project I'm working on up north, or one of my rentals that got trashed, that kind of stuff. I have no clear objective on where I'm going with this stuff. Just kind of putting it out there and learning. So it's all about the journey.
Totally agree. I think same path, and just trying to share our stories. And same thing, we don't really have a plan really for the YouTube side or content side, but it's just putting it out there and then kind of seeing where it takes. But talking about fear, how was it making your first YouTube video or putting out your first content on YouTube? How was that for yourself?
It's nerve-wracking, right? Because, you hear your voice. It doesn't sound like it sounds in your own head. Right? I really sound that way. I really look that way. Oh my God, I got fat. That kind of stuff. So that's been hard. And then it's just, I think I'm at the age I just don't care anymore. Um, it does nothing really matters. Life is short. Just throw it out there. Who cares? You know? If some people laugh, fine. If someone else gets some value out of it, great. Just I'm just out there learning. That's the fun. That's the journey.
Yeah, I love that. I totally agree. It's the fun part of it, but it's also, I think, like you're talking about. I think maybe, and I'm not sure, we didn't discuss this, but do you think it makes you a better investor or better in real estate? Because, like you're saying, you have these thoughts in your head, you're trying to present it to other people. It's how you communicate. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get out of your comfort zone, you're growing. Right. It's just to sit in your comfort zone, we would still be back to that analogy, right, in Munchkin land, right, and never start the journey. Would be sitting in with your elementary school and never take a chance. Um, so anytime you're out of your comfort zone, doing something you're not used to, something you're not comfortable with, you're growing. The skills I'm building doing it, I don't know where those skills will take me, but I'm learning skills. Right. So if the skills lead me to doing more YouTube, or maybe presenting in person, or just even a form of public speaking, maybe it's a skill of public speaking that, I go in and present to a city on a development project, and I hone these skills by doing YouTube videos. Great. You know, it's a growth. And I don't know where that path leads, but just gonna keep going that direction.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but like you're saying, right? It's also just practicing your skills, being able to communicate and present. And you never know, like you said, you never know when you might be a speaker somewhere, or you're trying to present some sort of project, to some
Mhm.
city council or something. So yeah, I think that's all great points on why, like Zuber, he's very big on trying to push people to, hey, just put content out there, get started, and you'll find kind of what path you want to head down, whether it is real estate, whether it's video games or something you enjoy, but
Yeah.
just start putting something out there. But Yeah, I love what you're
Yeah.
doing out there. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
the other thing you kind of touched on is, does it make me a better investor? I think teaching, if we look at what we're doing here, sharing and we're teaching, then I think to take what we've learned and actually put it into a context that others can understand, I think that makes you learn it better and understand it. It's like I can read something and I think I understand it, but then if I have to tell you what I read and explain it to you, then I'm like, oh God, what I read, I really didn't understand at all. And then when I have to explain it, then I'm like, oh, now I get it. So I think
that
there's a lot of learning in that.
yeah, that's a great point, right? So a lot of times, same thing, right? You could read something and you kind of just skim through it and you're not really paying too much attention to it. But now, like you're saying, if you have to, you're trying to make content or you're trying to present something, now you're reading it, but you're also taking notes in your head and you're trying to form like, how am I going to present this or what am I taking from this article or video that I'm watching? So yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that's a great point. But let's kind of touch, you touched on fear, kind of what you're trying to do on social media. So how does this all relate to, would you, so my story from, I guess, real estate is I've made a lot of mistakes. So that's kind of what I'm trying to share and trying to help people not make those same mistakes. It sounds like you've done a lot of things, in real estate. So what would be
A
kind of
lot of
your
mistakes here too.
is that kind of what you're focusing on, or is it more you're talking about like from the like the economic side of relating that to real estate? Are you talking more about new builds and things like that? So what is your focus, I guess?
Um, my focus is just real estate, right? Because it's such a broad area, and I've got such a vast interest in it that I'll be talking about housing on one end, I'll be talking about macro on the other end, investing strategies. I'm kind of all over the map, and maybe as I do this more, I'll get more focused. But I enjoy it all. The main topic is real estate. It's been my career, it's been my interest the whole time. Ken McElroy once said, when did you first get interested in real estate? And I sent him a picture of a Tonka truck. I mean, I was digging in the dirt. It's like a primal, some people are born farmers, some people are born real estate. It's just what you do.
Well, let's stay there real quick then. So you're saying from the beginning, I mean, from a young age, you knew it was real estate, like that was the path that you were going to
Mhm.
go down.
Building. My grandpa
Yep.
was a builder. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Ah, I mean, for me, it was just more, I, I, I never really thought of real estate as a thing. I really thought of it as a path, like that buy a home, you sit on it for 30 years and now you're wealthy. Like that was my whole concept of real estate, I guess. Even my same thing, my grandfather was a contractor, he had his own construction business, but I never had that thought in my head. So that's pretty cool that you from a young age you're thinking like that.
I had the interest in being the builder, but I thought in terms of capital gain, not as far as investing for rental. It took me a long time to understand the power of rental properties and power of time. And I look back on it and it's like, why didn't I know that? It's so obvious now, but I was always looking at getting that paycheck, like that flipper model, right? Fix it up, sell it, you get the check right away, and then you spend it, and then you're off to it. You're caught in that rat race, that circle. But that power of compounding time and the pay down of debt and the increase in rent and the appreciation or inflation of the asset, that's so powerful. And had I known that 20 years earlier, oh my God, my life would have been totally different.
Well, that's a great point, though. But do you think it's that obvious the power of real estate? Because I think for a lot of people, like we're talking about, is fear. And
Mhm.
everyone I encounter usually it's like, oh, you don't want to be a landlord, you don't want to do these things. All this fear from the landlord side is stopping people. So
Tenants and toilets and yeah.
exactly, yeah. So I mean, as obvious as it seems now when we look back on it, it's so much people don't want to take that leap because of, like you're saying, the community, who they're surrounded with. So that's a great point where it's like who you're surrounding yourself with can make a big difference.
Yeah, that fear and your surroundings. You know, trying to think. Napoleon Hill was he talking about you're going to be like the five closest people
Mm.
around you. So take a look at who you hang around with. You smell like the people you rub up against. That kind of philosophy. So get in circles that are going to make you grow rather than stagnate. That was that battle of alcohol that I dealt with. It was, I got into that pattern of who I was around. Not that they caused that. I was already predisposed to it, but it didn't help my situation, right? So I know I had to change my whole pattern. I had to get in a different environment. Um, and that change is very difficult. And just changing and getting into a community like school or whatever group of investors you're with to teach you this stuff, it becomes apparent once you're in it. And that's what I look back on hindsight, but I didn't see it going forward. I was looking at getting that next paycheck, you know, and whatever the new flashy toy was, just
No,
spending everything I made.
yeah, we talked about that. It's funny how you said, right? You come home carrying something and you
Yeah.
would leave with your coffee in the morning. But and then we just because I'm cleaning my house out right now and I realize like how much crap I have accumulated over the years. And it's like,
Yeah.
why do I have these things here? But
And
yeah,
now
it's
we don't even have to carry it in the house. We can just have someone deliver it for us through Amazon.
very true. Yeah, yeah. Hawaii just got a Amazon facility here, so now I see all these Amazon van trucks on the road, so delivering stuff. So yeah, it's funny, but yeah, this is always fun. I love doing this, and we'll get you on more. We'll do some lives, and I love what you're doing out there.
Yeah, vice
So
versa. I mean, this is where it's at. It's that personal battle. Real estate is easy. It's the battle, that personal battle, that fear, what goes on between your ears. That's where you make the most stride. Real estate is just basic math.
see, I've told so many people that I think people think I'm crazy when I say that, but I tell like buying a property. I mean, yeah, you need the capital, but for the most part, you can acquire there's properties everywhere for sale. You can find the property and acquire it. It's the other part of, like you're saying, the mindset portion of it, or getting over these obstacles, or you're gonna
Yeah.
have tenants, you're gonna have termite, you're gonna have toilets, and you will have problems. There's no way around it, but it's how you deal with it, or what community you surround yourself with, and how you can overcome these things. So I
Yeah.
love that. So, where can people find you? What's your YouTube channel name, and I don't know, X and whatnot?
Yeah, Craig Kamman on Twitter X, and then Craig Kamman MN as in Minnesota on YouTube. But I think if you just search Craig Kamman on YouTube, it would come up. So
Yeah, well, this was fun. I'm sorry this was
yeah,
it's a
good
little
times.
short one, but we're gonna actually. I usually don't like to do this and interview it and do a live, but I'm gonna have to. You're gonna be joining your first live with us after this, so that should be fun. But
Yeah, I'm
everyone, I'll put all
excited.
his links in the comments to go check him out. Go subscribe. So go subscribe. Give him some support. And one last thing, I guess. Will you be at the Vegas event in February?
I don't know yet. I
Community.
know, but I may be traveling in China.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
waiting on the dates yet. So
Okay.
yeah,
Well, hopefully we can meet in person. Hopefully I can, we can chit chat or make some content over there. But this was fun,
definitely.
and yeah, I'll see you in about 10 minutes, maybe.
Sounds good.
All
All
right.
right.
Thanks, man.
Thanks,
Okay.
Mark.
Bye.
Okay.